reading the map? Am I reading the map list right? Do we have back-to-back tower controls in this, or am I being fooled here? But it.
Oh,
okay,
man.
so
I was hoping we got to play a terrible map.
Barnacle and Dime tower control. That would have been awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I love
When was the last
watching
time
teams have to adapt to that.
Fusion, when was the last time you played Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz? Or excuse me, Barnacle and Dime Tower Control. You probably play Clan Blitz more often.
It was. Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. But I mean I haven't played much ranked, or not ranked, but just like Anarchy in the past. But I know that one of the most recent times was Barnacle Tower. So.
Oh no. Maybe a little too recent.
Interesting.
I still you know what the worst part is? I think I played that map way too many times, and then realized I just remember the routing to say the least. I think we talked too much about Barnacle and Time Tower Control that we have forgotten that the first map actually is Ship-Shape Cargo Spot Zones. We enter best of 5 territory here in semifinals. I'm gonna try to level with you. Yeah, there you go. Supersonic is on the Alpha team. Bravo team is gonna be Count My Bands. I take a look at the weapons here. More surprisingly, almost as similar. We are continuing the trend of very unique weapons across the board. Custom Blaster and the knowledge actually from Count My Bands is the one that sticks out to me the most. But so far, we continue the trend of unique weapons here, Fusion.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things coming out on both sides. The Custom Blaster is an interesting pick. I feel like it can be a little bit hard to approach, but this map has such a vertical middle that I can see that Blaster doing a lot of work here, and Flex Up already at least finding one pick, not able to get any more. And that is going to allow Count My Bands to grab an early cap, with that high ground paying off in dividends for Count My Bands so far, but it is going to be taken over by Supersonic as they manage to neutralize, make their way back towards the middle, and attempt to force Count My Bands back.
Yeah, forcing Count My Bands back here, and they still have plenty of opportunities to strike here. Still somewhat of a neutral game between both teams so far. Buoy Bomb is being used here. It will most likely be thrown into the middle, which they will be, but it doesn't get any more of the zone other than probably getting it close to neutral, but not quite. So there's still points being ticking down here from Count My Bands. Crab Tank, by the way, popped from Supersonic as the triple Inkling also being used on top, and it takes out Spec there. Crab Tank's actually being forced backwards, and they actually get the pick onto Burden State, and Ka with the Nautilus will probably be looking for the triple there, but at the end I think he's just gonna play this one safe. But okay, smart, all things considered here. Fusion, Count My Bands is past the 40-point marker. They might be looking for the KO if they keep this one up.
Yeah, just that double triple splashdown, the Nautilus Ka doing so much work. That was a little bit deranged. That was an insane splashdown. Count My Bands looking to solidify this game. Both teams throwing specials at that zone, but Supersonic doesn't really have any good way to get in. But that hero play from Spec is going to neutralize the zone. That's 2 picks. It's just the Nautilus in the zone. They are able to find 1 pick while defending, but they end up going down in the process. A great effort, not able to stop the cap, but at least able to allow Count My Bands to regain some players and not get fully locked out, but they are going to get cleaned up a little bit, attempting to move in alone. So Supersonic now set up for a very nice hold. They have specials almost online, and they are ready to lock out Count My Bands.
Burton State, by the way, shout outs to you. You getting the double there that allowed this push to keep on going, and the pick to that left hand side able to get more points down on the board. So with that play, it allowed Supersonic to just take a lot more points from that zone, but it just doesn't look like they're gonna get a whole lot more as Ka takes out Bird once again, and it will be the captain for Count My Bands as they get a double on the Spec, and that will be Ka pretty much lurking large here with another double on the board for them, and the rest of Supersonic having to play out a respawn. The pencil also drops as well, and this is gonna be 2 members that have dropped here. Count My Bands once again in a man advantage here. There is an Ultra Stamp and a Crab Tank waiting in the wings here. If they can use that and see if they can get fight of the zone back here. The triple splashdown gets nobody, and Ka takes out the Ultra Stamp, and that just stops the push that Supersonic was looking for. Count My Bands takes this one home to a KO, and they will take home game 1 here in the semifinals.
Very nice stuff from Count My Bands, able to put that game away after losing that zone in the middle. Just a lot of great work coming out, especially from Ka that game. I think that Nautilus is just such. Look at, I mean, both of them, Hawk Rider and Cobb, both have that Nautilus on their badge. It just the amount of like pressure and just consistent firepower that having both that Nautilus and the pencil puts out is very, very hard to deal with, and especially like that Ultra Stamp. Like, I don't think there's like any weapon that puts out that many bullets in that narrow an area in that fast a time, like to take out a hammer as Nautilus. Ka doing just a great job patrolling, super good at taking down people running towards you. Ka even made use of a little bit of the geometry on that splashdown as well. So, a great stuff for that first game.
Yeah, and that first game looked really spectacular, and I think Ka was able to keep things stable there for Count My BandZ, allowing the rest of the team to move forward there. And I want to see how this time Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz, how this one fares for Supersonic. I think there were a lot of good moments there that Supersonic had, especially with that with the splash that Burton State was using for Supersonic, but they think they just not a lot of things kind of materialized. Almost came down to individual plays that kind of made things up. But of course, it's Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz. I feel like anything could go here. We saw in the previous game, the best of three, they just decided to say, okay, no, we just rolled the same weapon. So it wouldn't shock me if both teams end up doing the same at the end. But Fusion, another true map in Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz is coming up here.
Yep, we do have Barnacle and Dime Clams. That's I've heard some mixed things about this map. I know my good pal Funky Eevee hates this map and thinks Clam Blitz here is terrible, but I've played this map on Clam Blitz so much in competitive that I don't know if I've been Stockholm syndromed into liking it or it's just pretty good. I don't know. It's pretty flat, and I think that just Count My BandZ has just such an interesting like composition and dynamic. Having that consistent long range pressure along with something like a Luna that is excellent at close range versus that more balanced team composition that's coming out on Supersonic will be interesting to see. So far, it seemed like the short range weapons are getting outranged and the long range weapons are getting rushed down as Supersonic makes quick work of Count My BandZ and starts that first push already down to the 50s is Supersonic, and they are showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, Supersonic keeping the momentum going there. That's a crab pick onto Flex Up, and that will be additional clams. So serendipitous clams, if you will, that spawns right next to him. And this actually, this goes to 100-0 in a quick hurry. This is a great response from Supersonic right now. They actually are getting some small clams thrown in. Now they're just throwing all this in right away with 17 clams. So 8. Do they have 2 more clams available? There is the desperate push for the 100-0. The achievement is not unlocked for that game for them. At the end, it is just a mere 5 points remaining. 95 points capped in one fell swoop. And needless to say, Fusion, it's a huge uphill to climb for Count My BandZ, but there is plenty of time on the clock for them to fight this one back. And so far, they might be looking for that response here soon. They already took out 2 here, especially with the weapon subs that they have here. It's now, especially when you got that Lunar Blaster that can still do work here even on shorter range with that Ultra Slam as well. They could be looking to do a lot of damage as the first push for Count My BandZ is cashed in. But I think Fusion at the end of the day is just a one and done push for Count My BandZ.
Yeah, and it felt like Count My BandZ, I don't want to say they rushed it, but just watching them in the middle of the map, it looked like there were no clams spawning around them. It seemed like they were on cooldown, or they just ended up spawning like on their side of the map. You could see they only had that singular power clam, and they were even struggling to just get that. That's part of the thing on Clam Blitz, is just it's sometimes you can you can wipe out the other team, but you might just not be able to find the clams in time because your push doesn't last long enough. So despite I guess a dominant push from Count My BandZ, they barely get anything out of it. That's going to be a pity clam. Splashdown gets a little trade despite being canceled mid-air. That is going to work in the favor of Count My BandZ, as I think they still get back part of that special as a result. But still huge hill to climb for Count My BandZ. Supersonic is in a great spot this game. They just need to manage to maintain some presence in mid and control that clam economy if they want to win this game.
There's still about 2 minutes left to go in this game, so a lot of things can basically happen here. Supersonic game, by the way, gained the 3 down situation in favor for them. They're gonna look to see if they can materialize another push on the board, because this is a lot of room that they can work with here. Now they have 32 effective points that need to be cashed in if they want to get this KO. There's a lot of clamps around. Burt is dropped, the one that had the most amount of clamps in their possession here. Spec is not able to cash in on those quite yet. They're actually having to burn the Zip Caster on the collider there against Hog Rider. All things considered, it is not a push that gets him out of penalty, so it is another free claim that's available here for Count My BandZ, and they're already rushing to the other side here. They have yet to get full control of mid with the weapons that they have in store. But for specials, they have an Ultra Stamp that is available. They also have a Zuka that they can make, that they have, which they just burned. Spec is just trying to retreat there for the hills and actually goes down, and there's 2 members that have dropped as well. Shoka is going to be the one that's going to try to push up. There's going to be another push imminent here, as there is 70 points remaining, and now the small clamps are being filtered in, and now they cut the deficit a little smaller here. Things gain a little dicey for Supersonic if they want to win game 2, but Fusion, 40 points remaining, does close the gap a bit.
Yeah, and they do manage to make a lot of progress. They still keep the basket open, just grabbing some extra clams in the nick of time. And those picks, okay, the heroics are not going to allow them to fully continue this push, but they are set up for a possible comeback for the ages. They now have 1 power clam. They're getting some clams in that backfield, and they're still maintaining quite a bit of pressure onto Supersonic here. Now, we're going to be heading to the final 20 seconds, and they are likely going to have to push in overtime. I don't think this is quite enough clams for the lead just on its own, so they're going to need to find some picks, and it starts with Ka moving in on that left side, trying to find and just catch people within their range with that Nautilus, but all turned around are Count My BandZ as that Zipcaster comes in and wreaks havoc. That is going to take out multiple members on the side of Count My BandZ. The power clam is just going to run in desperation towards the basket, and that will be the game. I don't think Shoka's going to make it in time, especially since it's a pencil. Yeah, great stuff from Supersonic hanging on to that game. Count My BandZ made an incredible attempt at that comeback. That Zipcaster just, put a knot in their plan there.
Sometimes that Zipcaster is all that it matters, especially with 195 point push from the very start of the game, giving you the wiggle room that you need. And hey, shout out to Uriel, by the way, with the 52 gal, getting some few nice finds at the end of that push here. But as we get a quick little replay there, as you mentioned before, the Zipcaster game 1, Uriel gave the pick onto Shoka, which only slowed down where the power clam was getting picked up. Now, sure, there was a pick on the left hand side that did eliminate the pencil. It was starting to turn into one messy fight after the other. Cog gets one, and then everybody just it's effectively a mutually assured destruction battle. Everybody basically all going down on that push, which only favors Supersonic at the end there. So 1-1 tie coming into semifinals here. Both teams still trying to see if they can get some nice results here, playing in the weekly. As moving on is Inkblot Art Academy Tower Control, which the one thing we did overlook in the previous game, Fusion, was different weapons abound this time. So we have seen some flexibility across the board. It wouldn't shock me if both teams want to change things up again.
I think that's certainly a possibility. Something like that Luna Blaster was interesting. I think that I can kind of understand it. Being like a blaster player just in general, I think that, like, I feel like it's weird, but custom blaster, I think, just like has a harder time finding things to do in general compared to Luna Blaster, at least the one with Fizzy Bomb. You don't have that fizzy. You don't have a great way to approach. So if the map is more open, it might make sense to use the Luna Blaster there versus like a more like congested map. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a Luna Blaster again here, just because it might be hard to approach up that hill with that custom blaster. We do indeed see that Luna Blaster come out once again. Still the crab and the stickers stamper on the side of Supersonic. This might be exactly what we saw in game 1 minus that Luna Blaster.
I think pretty close to it there with the Lunar Blaster. I have to recall the 52 showed up there in game 1 as well. So I think this almost kind of merged between the previous 2 games.
Yeah.
With with this one inning. Hey, let's just pick the weapons that we had in game 1. Let's also throw in a few from game 2, and voila, we have given you guys the weapons here in game 3. Cooking class here in Splatoon. I'll say that much. As we have got 98 points remaining here, the first tap from Supersonic, so to speak. Their crab tank and a killer whale for global sights game is available. And it looks like they'll have to be slowed down by a bit, especially with the rest of the teams following suit. Flex Up is going to drop there too. The birds having a hard time climbing back up to their base. They finally were able to do so, but this allows Count My Bands to get the lead here in short order. 4 minutes left to go on this clock, and there will be the first checkpoint. Not quite broken through yet, but a story as old as time. We are back into a slightly equal state. Maybe for this particular set, only once.
Okay. No, okay. I was like, did the Booyah Bomb just kill all the splashdowns? No, it didn't. It got one of them. That's about it. But Count My Bands is storming up onto that enemy plat. That is going to be 3 members charging the bats there. That wall, no match for the Ultra Stamp. Flex Up doing a lot of work spacing out the enemy team. Tower's going to roll through past that first checkpoint as Count My Bands looks to extend that lead. They are in a prime position to do so, but not quite able to hold out in the bats long enough to capture this second checkpoint, as now Shoka finds himself under fire and the tower is indeed going to get turned around before a cap occurs. But Count My Bands still in a pretty good spot. They still have multiple members up and are able to begin defending themselves, but a little bit of a stagger might give Supersonic the edge they need to take that first checkpoint.
Supersonic, it will also clean out Ka and Hog Rider as well, which will benefit them in terms of respawns. And there's Flex Up is right there. Flex Up is trying to fight crap from the lower ground, and somehow the blaster survives. I think I'm just going to declare that a neutral draw there at the end there, Fusion, as 2 members have dropped. It's actually 2 members on both ends have dropped there. Flex Up using the Ultra Stamp is going to take a slightly wrong turn, but able to take out Spec at the end from that Ultra Stamp toss. All that being said and done, despite the shenaniganeries that were in play here, Fusion, it's not even quite the first checkpoint from Supersonic whatsoever. Both teams not quite getting any sort of control around mid, and Count My Bands has 3 members kind of crowding around the tower there, but I think both teams are just looking to play this one from a neutral standpoint, so to speak here, Fusion.
Yeah, Count My Band still has that nice lead that they're hanging on to, but Supersonic is putting on a lot of that pressure. That 52 gal spacing out members on that left side. 2 members now attempting to chase Count My Bands back up onto their plat. Trade is going to make it difficult to at least take that checkpoint here, and now the Nautilus dropping into mid finds the pencil on that low ground, and that is going to force Supersonic to rethink things, at least for the time being. The trades go slightly in Supersonic's favor, so they may take another shot at this, but they are still going to have to contend with that pencil consistently poking pressure at that tower. As we head nearly to that final minute of the game, this will be the first checkpoint for Supersonic.
Supersonic able to break through the assist with the crowd to build the space that they need. And the Booyah Bomb also being used as well. They're just trying to disperse. Count My Bands, but the 2 members down. This is the guaranteed lead change coming up here, and a guaranteed second checkpoint on top as the wipeout is effectively secured. Delayed one at that, and now this is just members of Count My Bands just staggering out of respawns here as multiple members are being dropped. Ka drops once more, and the Booyah Bomb going to be thrown in that direction. It's going to space out everybody else once again, and the third checkpoint is going to be dropped, and there is Hog Rider also dropping as well. 2 members have gone down all in quick succession. It's 2 members have also dropped on the other side of the map, but I don't think the space is there for Count My Band to contest. And Fusion, this game suddenly went from 100 to 0 with the pacing. Supersonic won basically every fight all the way to the end, and Supersonic's up 2-1. One more, and they advance to grand finals here in the Great White Brackets.
Yeah, seemed like Supersonic just needed that one opportunity. Once they were able to find some nice picks in the bats, it felt like Count My Bands ended up panicking just a little bit, but that is going to take them just a singular game away from those grands. And yeah, sorry.
Trying to get your breath there.
A little bit. Yeah, you know, sometimes the day just hits you and you're not ready for it.
You know, it's funny because as both teams are approaching into Scorch Gorge Clan Blitz, I'm exactly the same way. For those who are tuning in, you somehow you have to find a way to muster energy into the night. I actually don't know how most people. By the way, I'm gonna go on a small tangent here, even though we could talk about Scorch Gorge Clan Blitz. The fact that people have enough time to actually play a lot of Splatoon tonight, and I speak as a person who declares himself as old, is crazy to me, because I'm like, you guys all have all the energy. I just want to go take a nap at one point after the day is over. So no, I can kind of relate with you on that one, Fusion, for the most part. Everything just kind of hits you very quickly when it happens.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes it hits you faster than the speed of sound, and that's what we're seeing right now.
So, dude, I guess you could say it's supersonic.
Wait, do I have the soundboard? 1 second.
Oh no. Do I dare?
Hi, Kermit the Frog here, and today's map of the day is Scorch Gorge.
What? Why is? What is the origin of that? What is the origin of that? Is this cactus?
Yes, it's cactus.
Cactus. What
I think
happened
this was
here?
I think this was Genesis 10 or Genesis X.
Oh.
God.
Cactus. I'm glad that I'm glad that you have brought the power.
I like
of
having
forward.
super specific soundboard effects. So everyone can be like, "Why do you have that?"
I'm even more mystified than ever now at this point. Flex Up, I'm also mystified that Flex Up has swapped away from the Lunar Blast over to the 96 Del Deco. So you know what? I'm gonna have to let the Kermit speak here, hold it for maybe a game or two as we load right into this one. Again, it's gonna be match point here for Supersonic if they were to take this one home. As we look at the weapon changes, effectively the 960 Deco is the one that sticks out here. It's one that is the Kraken available. Of course, I note that weapon they're going to drop immediately. It's actually going to be delayed 3. This could be an opportunity if they have a power clamp that they can take home with them, and it disappears in front of Burton's eyes. It is just tragedy. It requires one person to have to build 8 clams on their own, and it is just the 80 points remaining. Fusion, despite the tragic disappearance of one power clam, Supersonic still doesn't miss a beat.
Yeah, they're managing to come back producing clams. I was not quite anticipating them having getting 32 points on that board. That is going to be the end using the that one spot that everyone says to use for Zipcaster, but it kind of just puts you in a cage and makes it really awkward to go anywhere else. Nonetheless, Spexow still applying a lot of pressure with that Splatana Stamper over on that right side, but Supersonic's reign is going to end up coming to a close here as 2 members end up going down. Ka leading the charge on that right side as Count My BandZ has some clams online, including that pity clam at the ready, but that's only if a member would be able to grab that pity clam. Uriel was able to find a pick, I believe, on that back line, which ended up tripping up Count My BandZ there. So Count My BandZ still in an opportunity or in a position to push, but they don't have nearly as much ground and as many clams as they did just a moment ago.
Ka might be the one to change things up here, but as I saw that triple splash on gets one, and this is going to be a perfect time for Count My BandZ to get a push going. Now, I think they want to avoid picking up that pity clam right now. They're trying to see if they can get the clam spawn in naturally here. Does somebody have one clam to toss to Shoka? Shoka is looking for one clam to get tossed in, and they finally get one, and they will get the pity clam back at spawn to get the quick lead change here. And it looks like Hog Rider is actually is going to be swimming around a bit. Actually going to be looking for the picks first before trying to cash in on those clams. Not a bad play. They use the cooler as well to quickly jump back, and it's already quickly going the other direction here as Hog Rider not able to land the other Zuka. Zuka there. Count My BandZ push is going to get stalled, but that's a nice little response there. They get the quick lead change and a whole lot more on top. It's a 2+7 push, and that leads to 39 points remaining. All that being said and done here, Fusion, Count My BandZ with a nice little lead swap, but of course, there's still plenty of time left.
Yeah, they do have that lead for now. Still 2 minutes left on that clock, and I mean, we saw 95 points put on the board like in the blink of an eye last set. So Or that wasn't last set. That was this set,
It
right?
was this one. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was this set. I'm just like, oh yeah, there's 2 Clan Blitz maps in this best of 5, which is, my brain just like compartmentalized it in a weird way. Anyways, we have cool Splatoon action as that sword is going to find some nice picks. Spec doing a lot of work for Supersonic, cleaning things up. 5 clams in their pockets. Another one smoking a cigarette or something. 7 clams for now. Supersonic still hanging on. They do not have a power clam at the ready just yet, but 2 picks is going to open the door, and that Zipcaster will as well take us through it, Keon.
Yeah, you got it. The Zipcaster immediately being used as that power clan was being tossed forward as they wanted to use it right away. This allows one member to immediately pick that one up and able to catch that one. And this is going to be another power clan, the free clan back in base from the previous push, swings that to the lead. And this could be a KO imminent here as they need 3 more small clans for that victory here. But it looks like it will be cut short as one member only one alive, and they'll just have to swim back. But that is a nice little response here from Supersonic at the end. 47 seconds left to go on the clock. There is a free clam available for Count My BandZ. They take advantage. I mean, the math, it's effectively 69 effective points here. So they are going to have to look for 60 plus points of worth of clams to make this one count. They do have a Kraken that's available. The Zuka is ready to go from Hardrider, which they are able to use. They're just not able to get the picks quite yet. It's kind of all over the board there on the shots. And Fusion, 23 seconds left to go. An opportunity does arise, but they have to materialize a push. Eventually, Flexa might be the one to try to start it.
Yeah, that Kraken certainly is a good tool to get into the enemy basket, but it's a prime opportunity to attack that backline. That's exactly what happens here. Supersonic has that lead, and they just want to hold onto it at this point. Holding their ground is certainly something they have the advantage in. 3 members up on each side. It's going to be Hogrider moving in on that right. They were not, the pencil wasn't aware that's going to be 1 pick for that splatter shot. The crab is going to end up slowing things down. There's almost no time left on the clock. Shoka needs to get to that basket or it's going to be curtains, and it seems like Supersonic has punched their ticket to finals.
Yeah, that is grand finals there from Supersonic. The slightly slow up, and that's a 3-1 there. I think that if I'm not mistaken with the set, they feel it here. They did lose the first game in zones, and then they picked things up in the non-zones maps here as we saw the 95 points in that one push from Supersonic. Actually, the same team that also mounted the same comeback on top of it. This is the one I was wondering about because I thought I saw an advantage there if I'm not mistaken on a few occasions there, but Shoka was getting being pushed around, and because there was basically no purple link really in front of them, they were still forced to retreat back, and you had 2 members from Supersonic collapsing onto both ends. At this point, you just don't have enough manpower